Hi, welcome back to Rambling Roxy's Adventures Through History. Today I'm going to kind of take you guys on a tour of some historic villages right here in the state of Ohio. They show you what life was like in the 1800s. They're pretty cool places to visit where you can see people dressed up in historic garb doing things that they would have done back in the 1800s. So it's kind of a cool field trip so that you can not only just see what the buildings look like, but you can imagine what their life was like, because you can go to these places and see it. One of those places, of course, is the Ohio Village up at the Ohio History Connection, but everyone knows about that, or if you don't, you should, and go on their website, and it's really cool to see. But one of the other cool places that I've been to, and I'm excited to share, is Roscoe Village. It's a historic village in Coshocton, and the village offers guided tours upon certain times of the year and request. And it shows village life with volunteers dressed up from the 1830s when the canal towns were booming. Coshocton was along one of the major canals, and it really kind of took off during that time period through all the trade going on with the canal systems, as we talked about before. So it kind of shows what life was like if you lived along a canal town, what things were going on. And there's old-fashioned candy that you can get. There's a leather store. There's, of course, ice cream shops. Who doesn't like ice cream? They're not like old-fashioned ice cream, but it's still nice to have. And there's also canal locks and a canal boat ride within walking distance of the village. So once you go to the village and check out all the historic things there, you can wander on down to the canal park and take a ride on an old-fashioned canal boat, which is kind of cool. And you can see how long it would have taken for your goods to get there back then. Sometimes we think it takes a long time to get things from the store now. I can only imagine back then with the canal. One of the other places that you can go visit is my personal favorite is Slate Farm. I grew up not far from there, and I still live close by. And it's also kind of cool because the farm is set in the 1880s, which is where when our own farmhouse was built. So every time we go to visit, I'm like, oh, this is kind of what things would have been happening around our own farm back when it was first built, because obviously it's a lot different now. So they would not be using tractors and everything. So it's kind of cool to think back, like, wow, this is how life would have been like for the people living in our own house. So if you have a historic house near you or live in one, it's kind of cool to go visit some of these places and see what their life would have been like. Like I said, the farm is set in the 1880s. It's near Lithopolis, Ohio. And the Gothic Revival farmhouse was built in 1856, which is pretty cool. The farmhouse itself is pretty awesome to see. It's open, you can walk through it, and you can see people preparing meals like they would have back in the day. You can also see the games set up that children would have played with, and other things that they do. Like sometimes they they cook maple syrup and other fun activities based on the time of the year. They also shear sheep there and plow the fields with horse-drawn plows, just like they would have done in the 1880s. There's chicken coops and all kinds of barns and animals to explore at Slate Farm. They have lots of cool events that you can check out that they can tell you a little bit more about how people in the 1880s lived and harvested things around them. The staff there is very knowledgeable, so if you want to know how to grow anything in your garden, ask them. There's also Malabar Farm State Park, and it's pretty cool because you can also camp there. It's 900 acres, so you can explore that whole area when you go camping. Well, you don't have to camp, you can just visit there for the day. But the farmhouse has 32 rooms and many old buildings to explore. The farm itself was built by Louis Broomfield, and the house is dedicated to preserving the history of the family and the farm. It's complete with all sorts of animals, ponds, barns, corn cribs, meadows, and there's even a cave to explore. So there's lots of fun things to check out. I can't wait to go there. I'm sure we'll spend more than a day there, and we might even return in the future. And then one other place that's set in the kind of pioneer times is Zoar Village. And Zoar Village existed from 1819 to 1898. It's not far from Fort Lawrence, and it was built by a society of German religious dissenters who left Germany because they were being prosecuted or persecuted. They're being chased after by people, and they weren't allowed to practice their religion. So they went looking for religious freedom, and they have no religious holidays. Their leader was Joseph Bimler, Bimeler. I probably am not pronouncing his last name right. And they lived as a peaceful communal society with a public garden. And you can go check out the public garden when you go visit, and it's really beautiful. Seeing all the preserved buildings and recreated gardens is like stepping back 150 years in time. The people had to have been pretty brave and determined to start a new life here, moving to a new country, across an ocean, and setting up a nice peaceful village to live in. There's lots of volunteers who are dressed up and show what life was like in Zoar Village. So that's another cool place for you to go check out this summer if you're trying to fill your bucket list with some real life pioneer experiences. I can't wait to hear what you think when you go visit these places. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.